I've chosen not to speak about the economy and the reforms, or to even explain anything, because if I explain, it will help this government, and I don't want to help the government. I don't want to help this government. To be honest, I can stand here today and I can give a few points that are contrary, a few points that explain perhaps what we're going through and how it was totally predictable, most of it, and maybe avoidable. But I'm not going to do that. I've chosen not to speak about the economy and the reforms, or to even explain anything, because if I explain, it will help this government, and I don't want to help the government. I don't want to help this government. You know, they're my friends. If they don't behave like friends, I don't behave like a friend. So I watch them being stewed, and they don't even have people with credibility who can come and explain what they're doing. But I'm not going to help. I started out helping, but I'm not going to help. I'm not going to discuss it. Let them come and explain to Nigerians why the policies that are being pursued. And meanwhile, I'm watching a very nice movie with popcorn in my hands. I'm watching them stew. But I will say one thing. What we are going through today is, at least in part, not totally, at least in part, a necessary consequence of decades of irresponsible economic management.
Sanusi Lamido Sanusi is simply telling Bola Ahmed Tinubu that you're not my friend and I'm not going to help you. I know what I will say, or I know advice that I'm going to give that is going to help your government, but I'm not going to give you that advice because I want you to fail. It's going to give me joy for you to fail because number one, you are stubborn. Because number two, you are incompetent. Because number three, you don't listen to advice. And this characterizes the government of Bola Ahmed Tinubu. It's more like a one-man business. It's more like a Lagos show. Tinubu is using the same template he used in running Lagos State to run Nigeria. He's running Nigeria as his personal affair, his personal business. He doesn't care if his policies affect the life of the citizens positively or negatively. All Bola Ahmed Tinubu care is, as long as these policies satisfy my conscience, satisfy my craving, I'm okay with it. It doesn't matter if Nigerians are dying, I give no hoot about them. Sanusi Lamido says something very profound, that whatever is happening to the government today was predicted, it was expected. The people who supported, campaigned and voted for Bola Ahmed Tinubu did not do that because they believe in his ability to transform the economy of the country. They did it because of political and ethnic sentiment. In all ramifications, Bola Ahmed Tinubu was the least qualified among all the presidential candidates that contested the 2023 general election. But the people that campaigned for him were campaigning on the ground that he has labored so much. He has done a lot politically for this country. And if you ask them, what exactly has Bola Ahmed Tinubu done politically for this country that has benefited this country, they will tell you that Bola Ahmed Tinubu created APC and brought President Muhammadu Buhari to power. Therefore, he needs to be rewarded with the presidency. That was how the slogan "Emilokon, it is my turn" was created, and they run along with it. They sold it to the locals in the southwest, and they run along with it. It is a turn of Bola Ahmed Tinubu. But the catastrophe befalling Nigerians today were predicted, and of course I feel very sorry for most Nigerians because they did everything possible to stop this catastrophe. I saw how many people went out there, canvassed for people to go and register for their PVC, encourage people to go and pick up their PVC, even though INEC was very incompetent in registering and giving out PVCs to people. We saw how thousands of PVCs were dug out from the ground. We saw how in places like Lagos, INEC refused to give PVCs to people that were bearing Igbo name. It was all a deliberate attempt to disenfranchise people from coming out to vote. But even with everything that was being dished out to the Nigerian people were very determined to ensure that they make a difference in the 2023 general election. The sensitization, the campaign was so enormous. I saw people visiting villages to campaign and ask people to vote for the best candidate, who is Mr. Peter Obi. I saw Nigerians contributing money to give to students to come back home and vote during the election. The election was the most anticipated election. This is the best election that I've seen that citizens were greatly involved. You know, Nigerian citizens have been criticized over time that they don't get themselves involved in politics. But 2023, you must give kudos to the Nigerian people. They did everything possible to prevent this calamity. But yet, the power that beats in this country, the principalities and power, the power brokers in this country, they colluded with INEC to ensure that they steal the will and aspiration of the people. They steal the vote and the voice of the people. 2023 election was a political coup, and it will remain a sore test on the lips of everyone in this country. In as much as we want to give kudos to the Nigerian people for being involved in the 2023 election, we must also not deny the fact that some persons were actively supporting Bola Ahmed Tinubu and they were in their millions. And the people that were supporting Bola Ahmed Tinubu in their millions, they were told of the catastrophe that will befall this country if Bola Ahmed Tinubu is eventually voted in as the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Like I said, Bola Ahmed Tinubu was the least qualified candidate during the 2023 presidential election. Bola Ahmed Tinubu dodged every interview and debate because he did not want his policies, his IQ, his expertise to be tested. Of course, this indeed is the path that people who do not have anything to offer followed. You saw what President Muhammadu Buhari did prior to the 2015 general election. President Muhammadu Buhari avoided every debate and interviews, and it turned out to be a colossal failure. Bola Ahmed Tinubu did the same thing. This could have been a litmus test to show the people that this man has nothing to offer. But the people that were supporting Bola Ahmed Tinubu were bent on voting for him to ensure he become the president because they want to satisfy their ethnic, political, and religion cravings. As if that was not enough, Bola Ahmed Tinubu was faced with too many controversies, among which include certificate forgery. Bola Ahmed Tinubu was accused of forging his certificate in Chicago State University. Bola Ahmed Tinubu was also accused of falsifying his age. In the midst of the election campaign, David Hundeyo, an investigative journalist, unearthed Bola Ahmed Tinubu activities while he was staying in Chicago, United States of America. It was said that Bola Ahmed Tinubu was involved in drug trafficking, of which he forfeited $460,000 to the United States government. With this flying around, people warn that Bola Ahmed Tinubu is a person of interest. As a person of interest to the Western power, he will do everything to satisfy the will and aspiration of the Western people rather than the will and aspiration of the Nigerian people. After all said and done, Bola Ahmed Tinubu is the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. From the day he was sworn in as the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria to date, Nigerians have known no peace. Nigerians have experienced one level of suffering, hardship to the other. All the policies of Bola Ahmed Tinubu has been anti-people policies. On the day of his inauguration, Bola Ahmed Tinubu went to remove fuel subsidy. Subsidy is what the government used to alleviate the pain and suffering of the people. Among one of the things that government subsidizes in Nigeria is the fuel subsidy. Fuel runs the economy of this country. Anything that will affect the price of fuel will definitely affect the life of Nigerians, and that was what Bola Ahmed Tinubu totally removed. Of course, during the election campaign, most of the presidential aspirants like Mr. P2B, Atiku Abubakar said they were going to remove the fuel subsidy, but in a different scheme of things. For instance, Mr. P2B said that he will remove the fuel subsidy in phases. It will not be a total removal of the fuel subsidy. And before the fuel subsidy will be removed, palliative will be on ground to mitigate the impact the removal of fuel subsidy will have on the people. Mr. P2B also promised that proceeds from the removal of fuel subsidy will be channeled into key critical infrastructure that will help to boost the economy. Mr. P2B equally said that he is going to fight corruption and stop oil theft, while also cutting down the cost of governance. Mr. P2B will use government money to sponsor the lifestyle of the citizen. But what we are experiencing under Bola Ahmed Tinubu administration is the total removal of the fuel subsidy. Bola Ahmed Tinubu is using the citizens' money to sponsor government lifestyle. The cost of running governance under Bola Ahmed Tinubu, instead of it to be reduced, has skyrocketed. It is times 2 of what President Muhammadu Buhari was running. Corruption under Bola Ahmed Tinubu government has continued unchecked, and to add salt to injury, the proceeds from the removal of fuel subsidy has not been accounted for. Nobody knows how much has been recovered so far. Nobody knows where the money has been channeled to. The economy keeps getting worse. Nigerians are now buying fuel ×4 of what they used to buy before, while also battling with high inflation, high cost of living, reduction in the purchasing power, insecurity, and so much more. Just like Lamido Sanusi said, it was predicted. Nigerians were warned. They had the opportunity to stop this calamity from befalling them. Of course, many of you will say, we did not vote for Bola Ahmed Tinubu. He rigged his way into power. Why didn't you protect your mandate? Why didn't you go out there and protest? You think the power that be will allow this country to change? You need to understand that the way Nigeria is currently is benefiting some persons, and these people that are benefiting from the corruption in this country will do everything possible to ensure that it continues. They will do everything possible to continue holding on to power. For instance, take a look at the judges. These are the people that should have ensured that the illegality that was conducted during the last election was overturned. They had the opportunity to ensure that the voice of the people will be heard. They had the opportunity to ensure that the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria will stand, but they did not. They colluded with INEC and ensured that Bola Ahmed Tinubu has a field day of becoming the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. They are currently benefiting from Bola Ahmed Tinubu administration. Their remuneration have been increased, they were given new cars, and houses were built for them. Whereas the minimum wage that was approved by Bola Ahmed Tinubu since July and has been implemented and passed into law is yet to materialize. Workers are yet to see the effect of that minimum wage on their wages. But you know what? 160 million SUVs were bought for the National Assembly members, and another budget has been approved for the purchase of another SUVs for them in the 2025 budget. And nothing for the Nigerian people. The same people who went out to support and vote for Bola Ahmed Tinubu. The same people who folded their hands and watched the unfolding of a political coup in Nigeria in 2023. They are the ones facing the harsh reality of Bola Ahmed Tinubu administration. The most unfortunate aspect of all of this is that there is no end in sight of this suffering. You all just have to wait till 2027. Maybe you have realized your mistake. Maybe you'll be bold enough to fight and take back your country from these power brokers that are hell-bent on destroying your life, the same way they've been doing it over the years. Thank you for watching. I will see you in the next video.